It really just encapsulates the essence of Korean food. You have meatiness, you have spice, you have wonderful, rich, kind of a paste that just glues it all together. You get brightness and crunch from the leeks, undergirded by this like sweet, warm, glutinous rice.
전 세계에서 한식 인기의 이 상승세가 멈출 줄 모르고 있습니다. 실제로 이를 증명이라도 하듯 얼마 전 파리올림픽에서는 선수촌 음식에 불만을 가진 선수들은 물론 올림픽 경기를 직관하러 온 관광객들까지 한식 홍보를 위한 팝업 스토어와 그 외의 한식당으로 몰린 일도 있었습니다. 현재 그 인기에 힘입어 미국에서 오픈한 모던 한식당이 큰 인기를 끌어 유명 매체에서 촬영까지 왔다고 하는데요. 어떤 내용인지 함께 보시겠습니다. 이 터는 전 세계의 맛집에 관한 음식 뉴스와 식사 가이드를 전하는 음식 웹사이트입니다. 그러한 이 터에서 이번에는 한창 인기몰이 중인 한식당에 관심을 가지고 분석을 하고자 취재를 했다고 하는데요. 그 주인공은 바로 한식당 오이지입니다. 뉴욕 맨해튼 이스트 빌리지에 위치한 오이지는 현대적인 감각으로 재해석한 전통 한식을 선보이는 곳입니다. 이곳은 그 독특한 분위기와 맛있는 요리로 많은 사람들의 사랑을 받고 있다고 하는데요. 오이지의 내부는 세련되고 모던한 디자인으로 꾸며져 있으며 편안하면서도 고급스러운 분위기에서 식사를 즐길 수 있다고 합니다. 특히 조명과 인테리어 소품들이 조화를 이루어 사진 찍기에도 아주 좋아 미국의 젊은이들도 많이 찾는다고 하는데요. 이곳이 굉장한 점은 인테리어뿐만 아니라 한식 경험이 많지 않은 외국인들에게도 거부감 없이 쉽게 한식을 접할 수 있게 메뉴 구성과 개발을 했다는 점입니다. 그 대표적인 메뉴로 오이지의 시그니처 메뉴 중 하나인 바삭한 감자칩에 달콤한 허니버터 소스를 곁들인 요리 허니버터 칩스와 전통 짜장면에 트러플 오일을 더해 고급스러운 풍미를 느낄 수 있는 트러플 짜장면, 그리고 호불호 없이 전 세계의 입맛을 사로잡은 갈비찜 등이 있습니다. 하지만 이번에 취재를 한 것은 쌈과 냉채 같은 다른 메뉴라고 하는데요. 그렇다면 이 터에서 집중한 오이지의 메뉴는 어떤 것인지 함께 보시겠습니다.
What I love about the East Village coming from Los Angeles is that it just seems like there are so many small, intimate restaurants packed in next to each other. It's such a great place to walk around and experience the city of New York. There's this restaurant called Oiji that's celebrated as one of the best modern Korean restaurants in New York City. And yet I'm wondering, how do they take their experience with classic cooking and marry it with Korean flavors? Often when that happens, you're gonna lose something in that translation.
When you take Korean dishes and flavors and techniques and then kind of merge them with classic French and Italian technique, like, is it always a better result?
We're just using modern techniques that we have from training here in New York City, may that be French or Italian. You can still apply those techniques to Korean food.
When people come in here, what do they expect? What expectations do they have? They're like, is this a Korean restaurant or is it a modern New York restaurant? A little bit of both?
Yeah, I would definitely say both. It's definitely Korean, but it's modern Korean.
This dish really doesn't resemble the thing that I grew up eating, which is naengchae. So when you go to like a, let's say a Korean Chinese restaurant, or you're at a summer party, some celebration, there is this pile of sliced jellyfish with cucumber and sometimes some imitation crab, and it's all tossed together in this mustardy sauce. And it wasn't something that I immediately loved or really enjoy eating in large quantities, just because of how kind of haphazard it looks. But in this presentation, how could you deny yourself this? I mean, look, there's this cucumber brothy vinaigrette with champagne vinegar, and there's some perfectly placed dots of oil. And it's covered by this scallop crudo, which really elevates it. It gives it this different sense of, hey, we are eating Korean food, we're having Korean dishes, but at the same time, it is not as immediately recognizable. It's served with some beautiful little finger lime. And I think underneath is where you get kind of the essence of the naengchae. There is some very perfectly julienne cucumber and the wobbly jellyfish underneath and some fresh snow crab. We have some julienne Korean pears in here, and the bright orange is a fresh gooseberry. I'm gonna try it first without any of the finger lime. that's just so refreshing. It's a perfect summer dish. Just an edge of that mustardy kick, but not too much, because sometimes when you have this, it's just like a wallop of mustard. You get a little bit more of the freshness of the seafood, the scallop, which just melts away in your mouth. And then it's countered by all sides with different kinds of acid, different kinds of things that are refreshing and cooling, like cucumber and Asian pear. I take a little bit of this finger lime. This is such a cool ingredient. These little pops of acidity. It is not like any other naengchae that I've ever had. In some ways, you really can't think of a more quintessential dish than sam. I mean, think about the word sam. It literally is a verb. It means to wrap, but it also refers to the wrap. And in this case, we're going to be using baby romaine lettuce. They kind of fortified it with this gandoenjang. With gandoenjang, they're taking the basis of these fermented soybean paste, but they're adding in this case, savory elements of beef, brisket, a little bit of mushroom, and it tempers the saltiness and the funkiness. Another thing that they have done is they've served it with these lotus leaves, which is a very kind of like palace style presentation. I only kind of see this when I get dim sum because this is a popular dim sum dish. But you can see here, they take sticky rice and then they mix in a little bit of soy for savoriness and some honey for sweetness. So I'm excited because I actually have not had this before. How to start this? We take a little of the baby romaine, super sticky rice. This is a marinated and thinly sliced pork butt, and it's just covered in this gorgeous, spicy, sweet marinade. Adding some of the gandoenjang. They made this sesame sauce to give it a little bit of nuttiness and a little sweetness to kind of round out the edges. Super thinly shaved leeks. And that kind of gives you that freshness, the crunch that maybe kimchi would give you. Micro cilantro leaves. I mean, they've really gone all the way to re-engineer something that's supposed to be very simple and classic and everyday. It really just encapsulates the essence of Korean food. You have meatiness, you have spice, you have wonderful, rich, kind of a paste that just glues it all together. You get brightness and crunch from the leeks, undergirded by this like sweet, warm, glutinous rice. The history of this dish is pretty funny. They were kind of serving it as one of their opening snacks, and it was an homage to this very weird Korean fad. They had these honey butter chips that you could just buy in a convenience store, and people were going crazy for them. The trend did not hit Los Angeles. The chefs here decided to put honey butter chips in, and I think that they think it's even better than this very strange convenience store fad. Oh, frick, this is so good. These are fantastic. I just can't stop eating them. And they've perfected that balance between honey butter salt. Get a little bit of heat from the cayenne pepper, ice cream and chips. That's awesome. At once fundamentally Korean and yet refined to the point where you're thinking, this is maybe where Korean food can go. It's where Korean food will progress into this level of refinement.
전통 한식을 현대적으로 재해석하여 현지인들에게도 친숙하면서도 독특한 맛을 제공하고 있는 한식당이 늘어가며 한식에 대한 명성도 점점 올라가고 있는데요. 앞으로 해외의 다양한 한식집이 세계인의 입맛을 사로잡길 바라며 오늘 영상 마치겠습니다. 이번 영상은 여기까지입니다. 구독과 좋아요, 알람 설정 부탁드립니다. 앞으로 더 좋은 영상으로 찾아뵙도록 하겠습니다. 감사합니다.